Dinar shift. The news that has just come out has the potential to represent a watershed moment for the Iraqi dinar, moving the long-running speculation about a currency revaluation from the realm of persistent rumor into the sphere of formal institutional action. For countless individuals across the globe who have monitored this currency's journey, this development warrants immediate and careful attention. What is being reported is not just mere chatter but a substantive step. Iraq has reportedly submitted its proposed revaluation, or RV, rate for the dinar to the International Monetary Fund, universally known as the IMF. This submission, if confirmed, is far more than a casual suggestion. It signifies the official calculation of a new proposed value by the Iraqi authorities and its introduction for review by a highly respected global financial body. The move is a significant signal that a process long relegated to forums and wishful thinking may now be firmly on the formal path toward global consideration. The implications of this are vast, hinting at a potential shift in the currency's standing on the international stage. The journey of the Iraqi dinar and the Central Bank of Iraq, CBI, which manages it, has been fraught with economic challenges for many years. A history of conflict, reconstruction, and fluctuations in global commodity prices has left the dinar operating at a fraction of its former strength, particularly against the US dollar. This lower valuation, while serving some domestic economic purposes at certain times, has been the primary driver for years of speculation regarding a future revaluation, an official increase in its exchange rate. Holders of the dinar, both inside Iraq and internationally, have been waiting for a definitive move that would transform the currency's low market value into something substantially higher. The perennial issue has been the lack of concrete, verifiable action from the official governing institutions, leading to an environment where rumors and unverified information often dominated the narrative. This is why the latest news is so compelling. It is allegedly an official document, a proposed number, delivered to a major international entity. To grasp the full weight of this reported action, it is essential to understand the role of the International Monetary Fund in the global financial system. The IMF is a crucial institution that promotes global financial stability, facilitates international trade, and offers financial assistance and policy advice to its 190 member countries. Submitting a new currency valuation rate to the IMF is not a trivial administrative task. It means the Iraqi Central Bank has conducted its own comprehensive economic assessment, factoring in national assets, long-term fiscal stability, and trade projections to arrive at a proposed new exchange rate. By forwarding this calculated rate to the IMF, Iraq is voluntarily placing its economic decision-making under the lens of international financial standards and scrutiny. This signals a preparedness, perhaps even a commitment, to integrate the dinar more fully into the world economy at a more sustainable and recognized value. The practical mechanics of this step involve more than just handing over a piece of paper with a number written on it. The proposal likely includes extensive supporting documentation, details of Iraq's current foreign reserves, projections for oil revenues, plans for controlling inflation, and outlines of broader fiscal policies designed to support a new, stronger dinar value. The IMF's subsequent role will be one of rigorous review. They will analyze the proposed rate against Iraq's current economic fundamentals, debt obligations, trade balances, and overall financial health. This impartial expert review is critical for achieving international confidence. It is a vetting process that, if successful, adds significant weight and legitimacy to the new rate, transforming it from a national wish into a globally recognized standard. For dinar holders, this is the concrete step they have been waiting for, a sign that the government is pushing the initiative forward through official global channels. The significance of submitting the rate to an organization like the IMF cannot be overstated, particularly given the long history of uncertainty surrounding the dinar. The process steps beyond internal deliberations and into the international spotlight. It means that the proposed rate is now part of the formal mechanism that governs global currency adjustments for nations with fixed or managed exchange rate regimes. However, it is fundamentally important to maintain a realistic perspective. This news, while monumental in its procedural gravity, is not the final bell ringing in an immediate exchange opportunity. It marks the commencement of a formal review period, not the completion of the entire revaluation process. The most constructive mindset for any observer is one of informed anticipation, recognizing that the process has been formalized, but that many steps, and much time, could still lie ahead before any tangible change reaches the public. One of the most immediate potential impacts, should the revaluation process move forward positively, is the sheer change in the potential value of existing dinar holdings. If the new rate is significantly higher than the current pegged rate, the notional worth of the currency units held by individuals would increase accordingly. This possibility is the primary reason why so many people globally have acquired and held the currency over the years. A substantial revaluation could lead to a massive, yet purely numerical increase in the asset value for those with large holdings. It is the core of the narrative that has sustained the community for so long, and this official submission is the strongest indication to date that the long-term potential for a major value adjustment is being actively pursued by the Iraqi government and its central banking apparatus. Beyond the direct numerical value, a successful revaluation process endorsed by the IMF would confer a crucial sense of legitimacy upon the Iraqi dinar on the world stage. An internationally sanctioned exchange rate provides a bedrock of confidence for other central banks, major international investors, and global financial institutions. This increased confidence could translate into smoother cross-border transactions, reduced financial friction, and greater willingness by foreign entities to engage in financial dealings with Iraq. For the country itself, legitimacy is a key component of attracting foreign direct investment, encouraging the establishment of multinational businesses, and generally improving its overall economic profile from a perceived high-risk emerging market to a more stable, internationally compliant economy. The IMF's involvement acts as a global seal of financial compliance and stability. The news also guarantees an influx of global attention to the dinar. When a major currency is undergoing a potential revaluation under the supervision of the IMF, it attracts media coverage, financial commentators, and, importantly, experienced foreign exchange dealers and speculators. This attention is a double-edged sword. On one hand, it validates the story and may help to expedite the currency's recognition in international markets. On the other, heightened interest can introduce volatility as a wide array of actors attempt to position themselves for potential gains. This period requires holders to be exceptionally discerning, as the increased noise accompanying the genuine news can make it harder to identify and follow the official, reliable announcements amidst the inevitable surge in speculative chatter and unfounded claims. It is absolutely crucial to insert a strong element of caution here, as the submission of the rate is far from a guarantee of an approved revaluation. The IMF's review is an independent and objective process. They may review the proposed rate, find the supporting economic fundamentals lacking, and request significant revisions to Iraq's fiscal or monetary policies before they even consider endorsement. Global economic conditions, which are perpetually shifty, due to factors like oil prices, geopolitical events, and international trade dynamics, could also influence the IMF's final decision or the timing of implementation. Any one of these factors could cause delays, modifications to the proposal, or, in a less favorable scenario, a rejection of the rate entirely. Therefore, patience and a recognition of the inherent financial risk are paramount during this review phase. Even in the most optimistic scenario, where the IMF swiftly endorses the new exchange rate, the timeline for implementation remains uncertain. The financial world does not pivot instantly. Regulatory changes must be enacted. Banking protocols need to be updated across domestic and international systems, and logistics for exchanging physical currency must be established at banks and official exchange centers both in Iraq and abroad. This complex, multinational coordination requires time, potentially weeks, months, or even longer. Holders must avoid the pitfall of expecting an instantaneous conversion at their local financial institution. The period between official approval and the commencement of public exchanges is a critical phase that will require clear communication from Iraqi authorities and coordinated action from the global banking network. A sober assessment of history is necessary to ground expectations in reality. Past cycles of hope regarding the Iraqi dinar have been characterized by unverified rumors, fabricated news, and the unfortunate proliferation of scams. This new official development must be carefully differentiated from those prior episodes. However, the surge of excitement that naturally accompanies such a major announcement often creates a fertile ground for fraudulent activity. Unscrupulous individuals and groups may attempt to capitalize on the anticipation by offering secret early exchange opportunities, inside information, or services that promise guaranteed, immediate, and high returns. Holders must remain vigilant, sticking strictly to official announcements from the Central Bank of Iraq and credible international financial news sources, while treating all unsolicited exchange offers with extreme skepticism. For those currently holding the dinar, the most practical immediate action is one of meticulous documentation and preparation. This means knowing the exact quantity and location of all holdings, whether in physical notes or electronic accounts, and having all necessary purchase and ownership records readily available. This documentation will be essential if and when official exchange procedures are announced, as banks and financial institutions will require verifiable proof of ownership and origin. Furthermore, holders should be actively identifying and subscribing to reliable, official news feeds, bypassing the noise of social media and speculative forums. The transition phase will be a test of organization and patience, and those who are best prepared will be best positioned to manage the official exchange process smoothly. The decision to hold or sell during this period should be driven by logic, not impulse. Emotional reactions, whether fear of missing out or anxiety about potential disappointment, can cloud judgment and lead to rash decisions. Holders should already have a logical, predetermined plan for multiple scenarios, one for a rapid, successful revaluation, one for a slow, protracted process, and one for a scenario where the revaluation stalls or is rejected. Acting prematurely, either selling out of fear or attempting to buy more based solely on hype, introduces unnecessary risk. The long-term perspective, the original thesis for holding the currency, should prevail, emphasizing patience until official, actionable instructions are released by the governing bodies. Looking beyond the individual holder, the successful implementation of a stronger dinar could have profound implications for the broader Iraqi economy. A legitimately revalued currency would signal increased financial stability and economic maturity. This, in turn, could dramatically boost investor confidence, encouraging large-scale foreign investment in crucial sectors like infrastructure, energy, and commercial enterprise. Such investment is vital for job creation, long-term national growth, and the ongoing efforts to rebuild the country after decades of instability and conflict. A stronger currency could also reduce the cost of imports, altering trade dynamics and providing relief to the Iraqi consumer population by lowering the price of essential goods and services imported from abroad. However, the revaluation process is not without its internal risks for Iraq. A sudden or dramatic revaluation must be managed with extreme care to prevent internal economic instability. Volatility is a common side effect of such major monetary shifts. The Central Bank of Iraq will need to employ sophisticated monetary policy tools, such as carefully managing interest rates and controlling the money supply, to prevent unintended consequences like runaway inflation. If inflation is not contained, the real value of citizens' savings and fixed incomes, especially for those in Iraq, could be eroded, negating the positive impact of the revaluation. The delicate balance between a stronger currency and internal price stability will be the CBI's most critical challenge. The geopolitical context adds another layer of complexity to the timing of any official revaluation. Global economic conditions, including international market stability, the price of oil, which is Iraq's primary revenue source, and regional political dynamics, all serve as influential variables that the IMF and the Iraqi government will consider. While the internal move to submit the rate is a major milestone, external factors can dictate the pace and feasibility of implementation. The volatile nature of the current global economy means that the process, once started, may be subjected to external pressures and delays that are entirely outside of Iraq's control. This mandates a continued perspective of patience and long-term observation from all interested parties. For the Dinar community, this period should serve as an emphatic reminder to prioritize genuine education over speculative rumors. Understanding the difference between currency revaluation and redenomination, knowing the history of the dinar's exchange rate fluctuations, and familiarizing oneself with the mechanics of international monetary institutions are all essential components of an informed holding strategy. Knowledge empowers the holder to critically assess new information, allowing for decisions based on fact rather than on the emotional roller coaster of online hype. The best defense against scams and disappointment is a foundation of realistic, factual understanding of the processes involved. Another crucial piece of advice for the community is the imperative to verify every claim. If a source asserts that an exchange date has been set, or that a specific rate has been finalized, the information must be cross-referenced with official press releases from the Central Bank of Iraq, verifiable government statements, or major, reputable international news organizations. The enthusiasm that surrounds a development like this often results in a flurry of sensational but ultimately false announcements, which can be highly manipulative. A healthy dose of skepticism must be applied to all social media posts and forum claims, treating everything as unsubstantiated until official confirmation is provided through legitimate, transparent channels. To conceptualize the potential path forward, one can envision a plausible multi-stage timeline. Phase 1 is the current reality. The rate is under review by the IMF, a period that could span weeks to several months, characterized by internal negotiations and a quiet analysis of Iraq's economic data. Phase 2 would involve the IMF's approval or conditional approval, followed by a formal announcement from the Iraqi Central Bank and government regulators. Phase 3 would see the banking systems and exchange centers being briefed and implementing new protocols. Finally, Phase 4 would be the public announcement of the exchange window, detailing precisely when and how holders can convert their dinar holdings at the new value. Recognizing this phased approach highlights that the process is a structured marathon, not a sudden explosive sprint. It is undeniable that many long-term dinar holders harbor a healthy skepticism, a product of previous false alarms in 2011, 2015, and other moments that seemed promising but ultimately failed to materialize. This history of disappointment means that the current news must be viewed with a realistic and cautious optimism. While the delivery of a rate to the IMF represents a level of official institutional action that was often absent in prior cycles, it is this very history of setbacks that mandates a grounded approach. Hope is a powerful motivator, but it must be tempered by a clear-eyed understanding that the past offers a lesson in preparation and measured response. The distinction between rumor and formal procedure is what makes this moment different, but it does not eliminate the potential for delay or complication. In the immediate near term, the next 30 to 90 days, the environment is likely to be dominated by intensified chatter and increased market noise. Expectations should be managed by anticipating an acceleration of rumors, unverified leaks, and perhaps attempts by opportunistic sellers to offload their holdings at inflated, non-official prices. This period is the ultimate test of the prepared holder's discipline. Decisions made purely on the basis of market hype or speculative claims carry the highest risk. Maintaining a steadfast commitment to the official news channels and acting with patience and rationale is the only responsible way to navigate this volatile atmosphere, avoiding potential losses or exposure to scams that prey on excitement. Holders must also attend to their emotional readiness. The journey of holding the dinar has, for many, been a psychological roller coaster, oscillating between deep hope and crushing disappointment. This latest news may understandably trigger feelings of anxiety, excitement, or even apprehension. Allowing these strong emotions to dictate financial decisions is a recipe for error. It is vital to maintain an emotionally neutral stance, treating this as a significant financial milestone that requires calm, methodical planning. By planning for various outcomes, positive, neutral, and negative, holders can protect not only their financial position, but also their personal peace of mind throughout the prolonged process. For individuals who are new to the dinar and may be tempted to purchase based on this latest news, a similar level of caution is required. The decision to buy now is a significant financial one that must be based on a thorough personal assessment, not a knee-jerk reaction to current events. Prospective holders should ask critical questions. Do I understand the long-term risk? Am I prepared for the possibility of no revaluation? Am I purchasing from a legitimate source? For some, the wisest strategy might be to defer any investment decision until official governmental announcements are made. Choosing to observe the formal review process from the sidelines rather than entering the market amid heightened speculation. The global impact of a revalued dinar extends to the international perception of Iraq. A successful revaluation endorsed by the IMF could fundamentally alter how global financial institutions view the nation. It would reposition Iraq not merely as an oil-rich state recovering from conflict, but as a country actively striving for economic stability, financial transparency, and legitimacy. This improved standing could lead to increased collaboration with international trade partners, a more favorable position for securing international loans, and a general strengthening of the country's economic and geopolitical relationships on the world stage, benefiting ordinary citizens and global partners alike. Crucially, as the process unfolds, all dinar holders must demand and expect transparency from the relevant financial authorities. Clear, concise, and verifiable communication regarding the approved rate, the final timeline, exchange procedures, and any associated fees is essential to a smooth transition. Any deviation from a transparent, official process should be treated as a warning sign. The history of this community is marked by opportunists, and the best defense for holders is to strictly adhere to officially documented procedures, rejecting any unverified claims of special access or secret early exchange, opportunities that inevitably surface during periods of heightened anticipation. Looking outward, the revaluation has the potential to shift regional dynamics. A recognized and stronger dinar could change the balance of trade and financial influence within the Middle East and beyond. It would improve Iraq's competitiveness as a trading partner and alter the import-export calculations with neighboring countries. For international holders, the diaspora, foreign investors, and speculators, a new rate introduces the additional complexities of their respective national taxation, foreign exchange regulations, and banking transfer restrictions. It is imperative that international holders consult with qualified legal and financial advisors in their home countries to ensure compliance with all laws regarding foreign currency conversion and large financial transfers, as the new rate does not automatically simplify the global transfer logistics. To summarize the situation, the reported submission of the proposed RV rate to the IMF is a genuinely serious institutional step that validates the premise of a forthcoming process in a way no rumor ever could. It signifies that revaluation is actively being pursued within the formal global framework. However, the path ahead is still clouded by unknowns. The IMF's final approval is not certain, the review timeline is completely indeterminate, the ultimate exchange rate is still a proposed number, and the complexity of global economic factors remains significant. This is why the posture of informed patience is the single most important asset for all Dinar holders right now. Stay grounded, keep your documentation secure, monitor only official sources, and be prepared for a process that will unfold methodically, over an extended period. This moment may prove historic, or it may prove to be another step on a long, winding road. Your sensible preparedness will determine your outcome.